there, YouTube, and welcome to Transform. My name is Harmony, and today we're going to be going over the cardiac conduction system of the heart and the EKG. So let's just get started. So we're going to start by looking at the bottom of the screen where you see this large green squiggly, and that is an EKG. Right here on the EKG is the P wave. The P wave is atrial depolarization. So you'll actually see right here the SA node or the sinoatrial node. And the sinoatrial node is the node that is responsible for atrial depolarization. The sinoatrial node sends out a current throughout the entire atria, causing the atria to contract. So it's right here. It leads to atrial contraction. And this actually happens approximately 100 milliseconds after the start of the P wave. So right here. So anyway, the next area that you're going to see is, if we look right here, the current goes from the sinoatrial node and it goes and it works its way down here. And that time that it takes for the current to go from the sinoatrial node to its next location is known as the PR segment. It's also the time at which the atria are contracting and pushing blood into the ventricles. All right, so the next place that you're going to have is right here. This is the AV node. And the AV node is actually the start of the ventricular depolarization. The current goes from the SA node through to the AV node, and then that goes down here, which this structure is called the bundle of His. Or it's also called the AV bundle. And the current then goes down through here, causing the Q wave. And the definition for the Q wave is actually just the depolarization of the intraventricular septum, which is a fancy word of saying the wall between the two ventricles. The next area that happens is the current goes up the side of the heart, and it goes into the left bundle branch, and it goes into the right bundle branch. And from there it goes into these little fibers, and those fibers are called Purkinje Fibers. And that is what causes the R wave. And then last but not least, you have the completion of the ventricular depolarization, which is the S wave. So the ventricular depolarization is made up of the QRS structure, which is then in turn made up of the QRS waves. And immediately following the QRS waves, the ventricle depolarization leads to ventricular contraction. So we're going to go over here. So the ventricular contraction is actually shown right here. And this area right here is called the ST segment. It's shown as a flat line on the EKG because although there's no electrical impulses going on, the heart is doing a lot. It's actually squeezing or contracting the ventricles, and you can see that right here, the squeezed ventricles, and it's pushing the blood into the lungs and into the body. So even though it's not showing anything on the EKG, your heart is still doing quite a bit. And then last but not least, you have this wave here. And this wave is called the T wave. And the T wave is actually ventricular repolarization. So what that does is it allows the heart to reset. It starts the entire system over again because the heart needs to be repolarized to be again depolarized. And this happens, this right here, this PQRS T wave, that right there would be like one heartbeat. That on average is happening 60 to 100 times a minute in a healthy human heart. So it's just amazing that the heart can do all these amazing things. So in summary, the sinoatrial node sends a signal down to the AV node. The AV node then sends a signal to the bundle of His. The bundle of His then sends a signal to the left bundle branch and the right bundle branch. And then that in turn sends to the Purkinje fibers. And if we were going to put halves in there, this would be step 1.5, which would be the PR segment or the atrial contraction, go 1.5 over here. And then ST segment or ventricular contraction. So that would be step, I guess we could say like 5.5. And that causes the ventricular contraction. So that is how the rhythm goes from here, down here, and out here. Then we can go over the EKG again. So we start here. The P wave is the atrial wave. It's the wave caused by the atrial depolarization. And you have the PR segment, which is when the atrial are contracting and pushing the blood out. You have the QRS wave, which is the ventricular depolarization. So we can put ventricular. Then you have the ST segment, where the ventricular, they're contracting, the ventricles are contracting, and it's pushing the blood through the entire body. And then you have the T wave. And the T wave is when the ventricles get repolarized. Just an aside, because you may notice something is missing, atrial repolarization happens at the same time as the QRS. So it's actually kind of like happening right in here. The reason you don't see it, the QRS is just this wide and radical beat that obscures the atrial repolarization, so you actually don't see it. But it does happen because it needs to happen so the atria can then be depolarized in the next beat. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please write them in the comment section. Any videos that you would like to see, also, comment them in. And again, thank you so much for watching Transform. Have a wonderful day and good luck studying or learning or wherever you watch this video.